show him some love, and we're going to have a good time here with this live.
Cool.
Good luck, guys.
All right. Ready when you are.
Hi, guys. How is everybody? I am here with a very special guest that many of you might know. I'm just going to say his name. He is Mr. Reptile, Brian Barczyk. Nice to have you here.
It's awesome being here, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Tell everybody about what you do and what's going on.
And I thought you were introducing Bart the snake. I didn't realize when you were...
Is that the name?
Yeah, Bart is the snake.
Okay.
Yeah, he's awesome snake. And you're going to get a chance to hold him here in a minute.
I can't wait.
He's cool. It's listen, Andrew is an animal lover of all sorts. Of course, I love reptiles, but I also love fish. So we made the trip out here to Long Island to see what is the most incredible tank that I've ever seen. Probably the most incredible tank in any person's house in the world, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Brian Barczyk. I run the Terrarium outside Detroit, Michigan. I am a reptile lover, but I'm an animal lover, and I love Bart. As you can see, he's loving me as well, which is always awesome. And yeah, we're just going to talk reptiles. We're going to talk reefs. Andrew's given me so much great information because, of course, I'm entering into the world of fish as well with opening up an aquarium, a public aquarium, and it's just shocking how much you know and how impressive it is.
It's a lot of years of killing stuff, and you know what? Frankly, I probably have as much experience doing it as you have with reptiles.
Yeah, well, I can see that for sure, and it's very different. It's the same type of thing when you're passionate about something like reef fish, or like I said, I think you're going to eventually transition maybe into some freshwater. I just have that same passion for reptiles, you know. And so, would you like to meet Bart by any chance?
Oh, sure.
Okay, here we go.
Sure.
Okay, go like this. I'm going to go right on.
Sure.
Like this.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah. Hi, Bart. Hi, Bart.
Bart's doing guys. This is awesome. It's good. So he's an albino Burmese python, about 1.5 years old. These guys are one of the bigger pythons on the planet. There's really 4 giant snakes in the world. There's anaconda, rock, so he's a Burmese python. He's a mutation called albinism, and these are also the Burmese, or the invasive animals in Florida, right? And this one,
the albino ones they have in Florida.
Albinos really aren't down there, but the normals are.
Right.
And you're talking about a snake that could get 18 foot, 200 pounds.
Right.
So he's just a little monkey right now, really, to be honest with you. So you get a lot bigger than that.
Oh boy.
But you're doing good though.
He's cold almost.
Yeah, he's a little cool because there's a little cool in here.
Oh, I got you.
Again, ectothermic, cold-blooded.
I understand.
Meaning that
Yep.
They're gonna. If it's 70 degrees, he's gonna be 70 degrees. If it's 90 degrees, he's gonna be. And the thing is, with our body temperatures being 89.6 or whatever it is, 70 degrees, he's 20 degrees cooler now.
Yeah, so that's why I'm
so it's gonna feel really cool, right? But he's fine at 70 degrees for short periods of time, and he's been sleeping in Jay's bed the whole time that we've been gone, right, Jay?
Oh, yeah, he's been here.
And you keep your bed where? Right around 98 degrees or in the 70s?
Right around 95.
He's slipping off my back now.
There we go. There we go. We'll get him over here.
All right. You can take him. Thanks.
No problem at all. But, listen, thank you so much for having me, by the way. It's been incredible. I obviously watched a bunch of videos about you and your tanks, and I love your mission statement, too, about what you're doing it. And it's a true passion for you. Where did that passion come from anyways? I mean, since a little kid or what?
Yeah, my grandfather started it. Yeah, it took me to local fish stores and aquariums. And I started like everybody else with 10-gallon tanks, and never knew it was going to do this.
Jeez, that's crazy. So did your grandpa love fish, or was it?
I think they just... I was probably one of those hyperactive kids. I played tennis, and I probably needed something to calm me down. I didn't know that at the time, but that's how they got me to focus on something else.
Yeah. And so what was the first fish in that 10-gallon tank?
God, I think I used to, when I was 8 years old, I remember riding my bike to get those kissing gouramis.
Oh my gosh, I love
those?
I worked at a pet shop when I was a kid. We sold kissing gouramis. Absolutely. That's tough. So that was the first one. And so it's fresh.
I rode up bicycles on streets where your parents would definitely not allow you anymore.
Really?
At 8.
At 8? To go to the fish.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And with baskets, coming home with a basket.
Right. So you started with freshwater then?
Yes.
Which, yeah, who at 8-year-old would start with saltwater, right? How long did you keep fresh before you went to saltwater?
Did salt like maybe a year or two, in the last year or two in high school.
Okay, so you're a teenager. So that's still sophisticated.
Yeah, and then you know, the college thing, and that didn't work. My father couldn't take care of him when I was away. So I restarted again when I was out of college.
That's crazy. I mean, and now, have you kept fresh at all since then, or has it just been all marine?
It's been all marine, and I tell you, I look at some of these planted discus tanks, Amazon tanks, and we think, and honestly, it's a conversation here that happens once a month on what we should do for the next attraction. And since we already have the koi and the freshwater pond, we're really considering doing something there.
That's awesome. And by the way, for you guys that don't know, this fish tank behind us here, for my Instagram followers that are following, again, do me a favor, follow Polo Reef on Instagram, as well as you can be watching this live on YouTube on the Polo Reef YouTube channel. Just go show them some love. This is actually a 17,000-gallon reef tank. All of the corals and fish back here are live corals. These aren't inserts, which is absolutely ridiculous. And it's crazy. I mean, you see the filtration on this. Ridiculous. You know what? I was impressed with everything, but tell me a little bit about like the computer system that you have on this, because that is that like, I mean, it's a
PLC, programmable logic computer that is able to read millions of lines of code within a nanosecond, and it's monitoring. It's custom software. And it's monitoring the water chemistry. It's monitoring, you know, to make sure that the UV doesn't get above a certain temperature for fire and safety. It's doing a lot of things. It calls me at night if you know, I get alerts. It does all sorts of stuff, and it's monitors on generators. It is Skynet.
Right. Yeah.
It is Skynet. And as long as Skynet works, we're in good shape.
But you said you had a backup though at this guy.
We have a couple of backups, like the UV temperature sensor. There's one off of Skynet, because I don't want the house going up on flames.
Well, you told me, wasn't it?
The ozone probes.
Ozone probes.
Ozone. So we run ozone in this tank.
Of course.
And I don't want to get in above 400 ORP.
Right.
And so those probes are on the computer, but somehow if the computer fails, I don't want the ozone just.
Now, when you run ozone, you got to like vent it outside, right?
Along with our sulfur reactor, all vented outside.
Vented outside. And the thing I thought that was interesting, you told me, is that every intake has sensors in it. So everything in the entire tank has a sensor.
I think there's like 80 sensors in the system.
Sensors.
And they average each other in the different locations.
Wow.
It will detect a flow difference and then switch pumps.
Wow. That's just, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, obviously you guys on the YouTube, you know what's going on here. So I'm the guy learning from Andrew now, and it's been inspiring. And I can't, first off, like I said, I can't thank you enough for inviting me into your place. But I'm
fascinated with, first of all, I'm fascinated with the business you built in reptiles and all that stuff. But I'm fascinated that you're now going you're going to have a significant portion of your new facility with fish tanks.
Yeah, about 65 to 70% of the new facility will be fish, and of that 65 to 70% of my facility, about 70% will be marine.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well,
you're diving right into this.
Oh man, I'm telling you. I will say, guys, I mean, like I've kept and messed with fish since I was a kid as well, but I don't know anything like you guys know. But I wouldn't do that without my my one partner.
You have a partner.
Steve Bashy, for you guys that don't know him, Bashy Aquatics.
Some skimmers,
and he's been doing marine fish since he was 15 years old.
Right.
And so we were friends. We met. I worked at a pet shop, and in the same strip of the pet shop I worked at, he worked at a Little Caesars. So he used to come over to the pet shop on his breaks. He'd bring Little Caesars. And on his days off, he'd hang out. We've been friends ever since. And it's just weird. I grew, from that pet shop into a big business of reptiles and social media and stuff like that. And at the same time, he was growing into this giant business of building life support. And now he sells life support all over. And the interesting thing is, literally, when we were like 16, 17 years old in that pet shop, we talked about one day opening up a reptile zoo and an aquarium together. And then what was
Dreams come true, don't
yeah,
they?
it's crazy. And what happened was for about a 15-year window, we kind of were estranged. Like, I left the pet shop to do my thing. He obviously didn't work at Little Caesars anymore. And we didn't see each other for like 15 years. And we ran into each other at a concert and just out of nowhere,
Wow.
we exchanged numbers. And this was probably 10 years ago. And then we've just been hanging out ever since.
Right.
And then when this project came up, he said, hey, first off, he was just going to build the filtration for me at cost. He said, hey, I'll build this all for you at cost because we're friends and I really want to see you come together. And then he came to me and said, hey,
I want a piece. I want to be partners with you.
yeah, what if I be a part of this?
Yeah.
And so we negotiated a deal. It worked out for both of us. And
So great.
So my point is that I wouldn't be able to do this
Without him.
because
Right.
I don't have the knowledge that you have to be able to do that.
Right.
Speaking of that, like this had to be a learning curve.
It was because all hobby grade equipment didn't scale.
Right.
Okay, so I had a sort of actually the principles though were all the same,
Right.
with the exception maybe of the giant sulfur reactor, which hobbyists don't tend to use. The principles were all the same, and we had to go to aquariums and learn ourselves
Right.
what they do in this big industrial environment.
Well, so you went to some public aquariums where
And we had consultants and help with,
okay, good. That's what I was
Long Island Aquarium here helped us here at Riverhead.
I've noticed the same thing. I've been to several aquariums, a number of aquariums actually. They've all been super open to helping me out,
Oh, yeah.
going behind the scenes,
Yes.
checking out the life support, and that's helped me out a lot. Because the thing is, like you said, there's this beautiful. What are the dimensions to this tank?
Tank is like 16 by 16 by 9.
16 by 16 by 9. But the life support is taking up a giant area.
I don't know. It's gonna be total of 15, 20,000 square feet behind there, if you include the sub basement.
Yeah, think about that. You're looking at something that's under 400 square foot. Take 10 times that space.
Yes.
Is taking up for the life support
Right.
side of it.
Yep.
And that's the part that, like, when I first started thinking about doing an aquarium, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to need aquariums. Not even thinking about behind the scenes, that backstage, and where all the filtration.
They do make them where they go underneath the stands, and you can do it without this.
Right.
As it scales, though,
Right.
you want motors, an engine noise. You want it away.
Yeah.
Right? And so you start running them into different locations, and then you start talking about heaters and chillers. Now you don't want chillers and heaters, you want them outside.
Right.
And then you start thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to have to quarantine all these, every one of these fish have gone through, real prophylactic quarantine with meds, okay? And that quarantine room we built with 100% occupancy in mind.
Right.
Even though sometimes nothing's going back there.
Right.
So all of a sudden you need all this room that you're like, oh my God, this project is going to be immense.
Yeah. And it seems immense. And I will say, when I get to looking at this, it does freak me out a little bit, because I'm thinking, like, am I going to be able to do this? So, but I have faith, and I'll lean on Andrew a little bit when I have questions.
Oh yeah.
And Rashid, obviously, and it's just shocking here how cool it is. It really is.
Thanks. We have fun.
Yeah.
And just you guys know the mission statement here at Polo Reef. We're just trying to educate you guys and put smiles, inspire, give back to the hobby is my number one goal.
Mm-hmm.
Giving back to the hobby is done in several ways. I told you one way, like, we didn't even think about reef conservation and how important that was, but getting these young kids and getting them a spark too.
Right.
So we're giving to marine science programs, curriculum.
Right.
There's actually curriculum coming out in Florida that will be based on this tank.
Wow.
So that was a really proud moment.
That's a huge moment.
Yeah.
That's a huge moment.
Very happy.
Because again, if kids are the future, right? So if they want to protect the reefs, they want to protect, the fish, they want to protect the oceans, the marine life. That's great, because if they don't, then we're doomed. You know what I mean?
I can't rely on everyone having a grandfather taking and creating that spark. So we're trying to create the spark.
It's awesome. And that's what's so cool about, the Polo Reef YouTube channel and Instagram and all the social is that, you're creating, this kind of buzz and this excitement. And although not everyone's going to be able to have a tank like this, you don't have to have that tank to get into the hobby. You can get started, you can get excited, you can start keeping stuff, and even beyond that, like you said, you can get involved in the conservation side. So even if you're not keeping a reef tank, you can be involved in reef cleanups. You can donate your time to conservation and be a part of it. I mean, some great news are like things like the Great Barrier Reef. That was kind of dying, and now they've seen this huge regrowth just in the last year or two.
Yeah, Florida's the one that has the problem.
Yeah,
and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So the reef conservation thing, I told you it's not going to do anybody good when they die. The hobby, hobby's in trouble. They hate it. They can't get stuff. They close the reef. So it's in everybody's interest to get these things healthy.
Yeah.
And what we're learning is how many different methods there are, from fragging to spawning, and what's happened, and the different experiences of Australia, and all these local governments are doing different things.
Right.
So there's no one thing. So when we started looking at how can we help, we were looking for some national or worldwide campaign. There is none.
Right.
Every government, Tahiti's doing something different than Australia, and so you basically, Polo Reef, we may become the medium in which you buy our gear, our hats and swag. 100% of those will go right to. We'll find the people, we'll find the projects, and we'll be the medium.
That's great, because it's confusing, right, to people that they're trying to say, hey, I want to save the reef, and there is
what reef?
What reef, and everyone's different. I mean, so what? Tell me a little bit about what happened in Hawaii. Like, do you know the deal? Like, they just shut it down, and they never were taking corals and rock from there, but they were taking a lot of ornamental fish, like tanks.
And what a third of this tank, maybe. And they had an environmental study, and the pendulum swung politically, and done.
They said no more.
And the science was iffy. In fact, I think it's pretty proven that that was an overstatement, and they're actually starting to swing back a little bit now. But yellow tang that you see right there behind you, which is endemic to Hawaii, and I would say it was staple. It was a reef tank staple.
Everyone had a yellow tang.
$60 to 600.
To 600, 10 times.
And you couldn't find them.
Yeah.
The great thing is, you saw the captive bred ones we have. So we're really learning how to do that now. Technology's come a long way. Unfortunately, it's just too small. It's not scaling fast enough.
Well, I mean, with the tens of thousands of people that want a yellow tang, you're not. You got to scale a lot to produce 10,000.
And the same thing for coral restoration. Like, you're going to have to frag a lot of frags to make a dent if you're going to be replanting. If you're going to replant. It needs to scale.
That makes a lot of sense. So what is your advice to the person that's watching, either on my Instagram or on your YouTube, like what is your advice to them? I mean, get into the hobby, just keep some fish, get involved. I mean, what would you think?
I tell people, I don't care whether you buy a glass bowl with a goldfish or a 10-gallon tank, or you want to start out with a 5,000-gallon system and contact me with the greatest equipment ever. The key is to just go for it and to be glued on the health of the animals and read and research, and that process is invaluable.
And I think that's the thing that's so exciting to me, and for everyone that's watching on my Instagram, it's like I've been just obsessed with reptiles since I was a little kid, Obsessed. Like, I cannot, and I still am. I can't get enough information. I can't get enough. But now it's like getting back into fish, like coming in, and the things you've taught me today and the things you've talked about to me today, is crazy, you know, and it's like, now I'm like a sponge where it's like, I just can't get
Hey, I told you 4 key things and you got it now.
Yeah, that's great. They're very simple staples that make complete sense.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you just do those things, and you know, it's going to be different for each species.
It's not easy to do though, those 4 things, but yes.
And do you think that equipment is is that the most?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the most, but because technology has come so far now, and we know so much more that we know what lights and intensities to run within a range.
Right.
In the old days, people would plug in metal halide bulb, like, you know, it would cook things. Phoebe's barking right there. You want to go get her? Someone? In any event, we know a lot more, and these coral farmers have perfected worldwide corals, top shelf. They've perfected this thing.
Yeah. I was on a Top Shelf recently.
Unbelievable. Just did they take you to the ground?
Yeah, they
Oh
did.
man, is that high candy or what?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we saw tanks.
Phoebe, careful of the snake, Phoebe.
It's okay, Phoebe. You'll like the snake. It's fine. But yeah, that place was cool. It's really awesome. But then, like I said, when I walked in here, you know, my first question was, are these all live corals? You know, I was like, is there any inserts in there at all? Because I couldn't believe the quantity of coral you have in this tank, you know? Absolutely incredible. Oh, Phoebe wasn't happy.
Oh, sandwich? Who gives a shit? As long as she didn't eat a reptile, I don't care.
She ate your gecko. But it's so I know right now you're working on like a 2,500 gallon.
Yeah, that will be that's a project. I'm really looking forward to slowing down on this one and working on that.
Right.
That will be a change of pace.
How long do you think it'll take to get there? Because I mean, it's there. It's already there.
Well, the panels and the automation will be here in the next month or two.
Okay.
And then there's some mild plumbing and lighting to do. And the rock is here. I mean, I think it's just man hours. I would say that tank should be rocked, filtered, probably some corals in there, I would think, but I would be disappointed if by mid-year next year that tank didn't have something in there nice.
Now do you get excited about the design aspect of corals?
Oh, we do, but this guy right here, Rashid is like the aquascaping, that's his art.
You know, we gotta get you guys on. I started putting on an event. If you guys are available in September, please come. It's called AnimalCon USA,
right.
And it's like the Comic-Con for animals.
Yep.
And we're actually doing a scape off there too. We gotta get Rashid to be involved. Now it's not corals, but it is scape with like rock and stuff like that. And there'll be like 10 or 12 tanks that you'll go up against other, you know, aquascapers and you know, build it out. And then
I allocate half of Rashid's salary to his aquascaping skills.
Wow.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding with that.
Okay, he's a ringer.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, he makes coral reefs beautiful.
Well, I tell you, it's going to be a huge disappointment if you lose the Aquascape contest at AnimalCon.
That's a passion. Another guy.
I want him to do the live plant thing. I want him to do this live plant discus tank that we're talking about. I think he'd be unbelievable at it.
You know, like the owner from Top Shelf.
Yeah.
Us creating Aquascape is like a relief for us. Like
sure.
There's the art to it, and just seeing it all come together. But there's so many things you got to consider. You got to consider the lights, the flow. There's a lot you're considering as you're creating these things, and the animals that are going in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. But like you said,
and to the eye, and to the candy of the eye, and negative aquascaping. And when is too much rock? That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, you want to be able to breathe. You know,
yes,
you want to breathe. And so, no, it's good. But seriously, I'll get in touch with you guys about that. I mean, you guys got to come. It's a pretty fun event. Basically, you know, like last year we had 100 of the top animal creators, from fish to reptiles to birds to bugs. This year we're going to expand even more, probably double the creators, and all be there. You know, you
guys should do like one of those like terrariums with those rare little frogs and stuff with the mist. You got one?
Yeah, I actually have 3 of them. Yeah, I have 3. Yeah, those
shocking.
Can you tell us more about these and the amount of work that goes into pruning?
They're beautiful.
It's really not that bad.
Exactly, that's what we're told.
Yeah, once you've got a good setup going with live plants and We have waterfalls in all ours.
Right.
Some of them we have like what they call a paludarium.
Give me a size. How big?
Not big at all. I mean, you could do like
How big yours?
mine are 18 by 18 by 36. So mine
Okay.
are taller.
Okay.
And it's just a square. 18 by 18.
That's the other. That's the spot right there. That was the other thing we were talking
Oh
about.
yeah, that'd be super cool.
Is that nice?
You could do a nice like half round corner thing.
Right.
You could have, and if you have enough space, you can go with different species.
Yeah.
So they are territorial, where it's like if you put different species of dendrobated in the same, they'll fight. Okay. But if you have enough space for them, like in a big aquarium over there or something like that, have tiering and stuff like that, they'll actually like, okay, the Xerix is going to be here. And then your Rhodus are going to be here, and your, whatever the case.
Whatever word you're using, they're foreign to me, but they sound beautiful.
Yeah, but they're so beautiful.
I know they are.
You put multiple species.
Spectacular.
Yeah, you just, like I said, we have some paludariums as well. So there's water, land, and water.
Right. That's
and we sometimes keep some little fish in the paludarium, and they're very easy to cut. All you have to do is prune the plants when they overgrow. And that's it. We just, clip the plants when they overgrow.
You don't CO2 in the planetarium?
No,
because it's open to the air.
Yeah, just completely open, and then you can have we have a mister on it. We do have we do have a couple terrariums that have foggers as well. If you want to do fogging,
of course. Disco lights too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can use, that's the thing. You can do anything you want. I mean, it's the end is just in your imagination basically. And there's a guy named Tanner from Serpent Design. Have you ever heard of him? He does amazing work. He's got a big following on YouTube.
Does he come to, does he do installation and stuff or no?
I bet you he would love to.
I need someone to come and I bet you Tanner would love
to come and just do a collab with you because of the fish and everything else that you've got going on. It'd make great content for his stuff, and he's a great guy. And so I'll put you in touch with him, and you guys can talk about it. But he's definitely look him up as well. He's really, really talented. He's just all about like natural bio, it's really amazing.
Just so the viewers know of Polo Reef, give me an idea in the inventory. What your snake?
How many reptiles I have?
Reptile count. Where are we these days?
We probably have about 3,000 reptiles, somewhere in that range. 3 to 3,500 reptiles, somewhere in that range. That range.
And what's the mix?
So I would have like boas and pythons. I would have corn snakes, king snakes, what they would call colubrid snakes. I would have big giant monitor lizards. I've got some crocodilians. I've got amphibians. I do have some arachnids, stuff like, spiders and scorpions and whatnot like that. And then we have small lizards. We have, again, small snakes, big snakes, medium snakes, medium lizards, big lizards. And we have kind of the run of everything.
From poisonous to the rarest crazy stuff.
So we don't keep venomous animals. We got poison dart frogs, like we were talking about the dart frogs.
Right.
But outside of that, we don't keep. We have some mildly venomous snakes. I've worked since I was like 15 years old with venomous snakes. Anything from king cobras to black mambas, to taipans in Australia, and brown snakes, and all the list goes on and on. But
does anything beat the king cobra? He beats everything.
I think the king cobra is. I think he's the most iconic snake.
Right.
Ironically enough, not by any stretch the hardest snake to handle. It's one of the. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's very predictable. Right?
Okay, it's predictable.
Believe it or not, the two snakes that I get
scared of.
I wouldn't say
which ones?
Very, very black mambas and taipans, coastal taipans. So coastal taipans they're both very similar bodied snakes. They get about 9 foot, relatively thin, and really whippy. And they're both. Now the difference is between the king cobra is probably about the 25th, maybe even 30th most venomous snake on the planet. The thing is, it has the second largest venom yield. So when it bites you, it will pump the second amount of venom of any snake on the planet. So it can kill 100 elephants, they say. Now,
because the teeth are so big and the amount that comes out.
It's just the amount
that comes out.
The venom glands have such a yard.
Right.
Now, but black mambas are in the top 25, and coastal taipans are in the top 5 most potent.
Right.
And they're very willing to bite. So king cobras don't tend to see. They do a lot of mock charging, and they do a lot of threat display and stuff like that. Whereas mambas and
they just bite you.
they just bite, and they're fast and whippy. And so I caught coastal taipans in a place called Savages Crossing, Australia, Queensland, and I've caught black mambas both in Bella, Africa, as well as down near Durban, Africa. And they are wild. I mean, they're just crazy fast, crazy insane. And so it's those are the two snakes that I think any really venomous snake guy will tell you. Even the most experienced venomous snake guy looks like an amateur when they're dealing with them.
And what would be the rarest thing you had?
Well, I have a lot of one-of-a-kind color mutations.
Mutations.
Like stuff that no one else has.
Right.
The only ones in the world. I also have like two-headed snakes. One two-headed snake. What? There's only a few.
Two heads?
Yeah, there's only a few of them in the world.
You hear this, Rashid?
Yeah.
Two heads always better than one.
Yeah.
2 heads. I thought that was like in the comic books or something.
No, we have.
I got a quick question for you. So I go to Morocco, and Morocco is famous in Marrakesh. They have those cobras, those guys.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I've taken pictures of them before, but how do I know one day you're not just gonna?
He's saying that the cobras are more predictable. They don't do that as much.
And that's why when you see the snake handlers, they're usually almost always handling cobras.
They're always like kind of close.
They know the cobras. They know them. They know when it warns itself.
Very seldom almost never will a cobra strike up. So as long as you're on this side, and then if you're behind a cobra, it's not going to ever strike backwards. It's always going to turn before it strikes. So you can read them very well.
Okay.
So that's why in Indonesia and in India and like you said through the Moroccan area you have snake handlers that are very good and the snakes will actually follow.
Berbers that have been handled for
exactly. I mean, and generation after generation they teach their children how to deal with these animals. And you'll see 4-year-old kids playing with cobras because they're getting taught so well, and so you're pretty safe. I think I don't personally know of any tourists that I've never heard a story of a tourist that have been bitten by a cobra in any of those settings. Now that's not to say it's never happened. I've never heard of it happening. So you're pretty safe. And I've done it in Indonesia with 18-foot king cobras with the king cobra handlers where I've kissed them on the head and done the whole shot. So
in all your experience, can you tell everyone what recently happened to your arm? Iguana, one wrong move and you got 17 stitches.
I always say, you have to always be on your game. And for 35 years, I was.
Here's the injury.
Yeah, that was my.
It's like on the football field. They always say keep your head on a swivel. You never know.
Yeah, and
when
that's
someone's going to knock you off. It's the same thing with a snake.
I preach it all the time. You've got to be in the moment, and you've got to be like really aware of what's going on. It's no different than diving this tank, right? Yeah. You got to know where all your extremities are, so you're not knocking things over and stuff.
Yeah, and Rashid's butt sometimes getting away.
Yeah, he's a big guy. I just let my guard down for a second. It wasn't the animal's fault; it was my fault. I just made a mistake. I opened the cage the wrong way. I took my eye off the animal, thinking it was going to do.
Is an iguana something is it known to bite?
Well,
or just unpredictable.
Unfortunately, iguanas back, especially in the 80s and 90s, were like the reptile pet that everyone bought. And what they didn't realize is males, when they get to a maturity, oftentimes become extremely cage defensive, territorial, right? Extremely. So most people's stories like, I had an iguana, it got big, it got really mean, I had to get rid of it, right? So iguanas don't make good pets at all, especially male iguanas. But they're beautiful, beautiful animals. And you would never think, I can tell you this much. Matter of fact, I posted a picture on my Instagram to these guys here of just the stitches. And nobody guessed that it would be an iguana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of all the crazy stuff that we work with,
nobody guessed iguana.
The fact that it was an iguana that got me it's almost a little embarrassing. It's almost like if you were a dog handler and you were training German shepherds and then a chihuahua bit you. You know what I mean? It's like one of those type of situations. You're like, oh my God, I got bit by a chihuahua and I'm training these German shepherds every day. So working with all these giant snakes and reptiles and alligators and crocodiles, and here I get done.
Never let you go down.
And the first time I've ever gotten a stitch in 35 years. First time I've been to the hospital for an animal-related thing. And I've been, like I said, all over the world dealing with animals. And
did you get a tetanus shot and all that stuff? Or no?
I did. I did get a tetanus shot, and I'm on antibiotics to make sure that there's no infection. That's the hardest thing, right? Is the infection. You know, so with an animal bite, you know, with salmonella and all kinds of other infections that are in reptiles' mouths.
Did they put you on doxycyclline for that?
It's just
you're Augmentin? Okay.
Augmentin, yeah.
Yep.
So
You want some extra Sandler? We got some.
We got some.
yeah, shit, I can't take that stuff. It makes me sick. But no, it's but I'm fine. You know, it was completely my fault, and it's, you know, it's about 4 days old now. It's going to be healed up in no time, and I'll be back. The only thing I was bummed out is I had a really nice gorilla tattoo that's now cut in half.
Yeah, you'll get another one.
The other thing is, you could have dove in the tank tonight if you didn't have that injury.
I would have loved to dive if I could get this wet. That would have been amazing. Next time I come, I would love to dive this tank for sure. And yeah.
Tell my people how many followers you have on each, just whatever.
So we have
and then how many videos you make a week, because it just blew my mind.
Yeah, we do 6 fully produced videos a week. That range on the very low side, 8 minutes, typically 12 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, sometimes 15 plus minutes. Fully edited, very produced videos. 6 days a week. We have over 2,200 videos that we produced in the last 6 years, and we have just shy of 4 million on YouTube, 6.5 on TikTok, on Instagram, just shy of 1.2 million, and Snapchat. We just started a Snapchat show. Super excited about that. You know, and well, I'm sure.
How many you got TikTok?
6.5 million.
6.5 million.
Yeah, 6.5 million on TikTok, and oh yeah, Facebook. We have like just come out. We just ticked over to 2.3 million. We're at 2.2. We just ticked over to 2.3 million this week. We're launching a Spanish channel here in January. We're excited about that. Will be our videos, the same 6 videos. They won't be 6 videos, it'll only be 1 video a week, but it will be dubbed in Spanish. So all our voices are dubbed in Spanish, so we're excited about that. We also are launching a Billy channel, which is the YouTube YouTube in China. So we're that will be, again, you know, in Mandarin. And so that launches sometime right after the first of the year as well. So we just try to.
You don't do separate content. It's just going to be translated, or you're going to do separate content. So
the Billy and the Unilingo channel, which is the Mexican channel or Spanish channel, will be same content. And then the other platforms we try to do as much individual content as possible. Like our Snapchat is individual, our Facebook is individual, you know, and then Reels we kind of share across platforms, and just shorts, Reels, TikTok, stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's exciting.
So here's a guy that fell in love with animals and is now making a living in the new media world.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, listen, all I ever wanted to do is work with animals, and this is giving me an opportunity to work with a lot more animals and do a lot bigger things than I could have ever done if it wasn't for social media. So, so I'm very, very blessed and very excited. And listen, we're
it's a
just
hell of a dream come true.
Yeah, it really is, and we're just getting started. I mean, you know, the thing that's really cool that I'm excited about is that, you know, I still am and always will be a reptile channel, but now, you know, incorporating fish into it, I'm hoping that we can, you know, have a following on both sides, you know, on the fish and reptile side. Yeah. And, you know, because there's so much.
And you tell me the overlap. Maybe I'll get some snakes too.
I guarantee you there's a huge, you'd be surprised the overlap between fish and reptiles. It's crazy. Most reptile people either do keep fish or have kept fish or really love it. Right. And a lot of fish people like reptiles. Right. So the crossover, I would say it's probably more reptile to fish than fish to reptile. Right. But it's so, like, we went to Aquascaping 3 times this last year, and there were
Which one?
Well, we went to Dallas, Chicago, and Orlando. Yeah. And they're great shows, by the way. But there's reptiles in them, and people love seeing them. And so yeah, it was. And we were really surprised how many fish people knew us. You know, as we were walking around, we got, you know, tons and tons of people coming up to us. So there's a nice crossover. I think there's more so than you think, probably.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that live. It was really special for me, and to have these guys, to have a reptile expert that is blown up the media world too, which is I'm really impressed with it. Really, well, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I can't wait to see what the future is, our relationship building, and,
it'd be great.
And be part of things together. So it's going to be really fun. If I
can we'll be doing future collabs. And I will help you with the marine world.
I appreciate it. And for my guys, like I said, make sure
Polo Reef. You got to hit them up on Instagram. Hit them over on YouTube.
Small
announcement.
announcement.
Oh, we got a small announcement.
Andrew, you can touch on this, but we have a 12-day holiday giveaway starting on the 14th.
Okay.
If any of your guys go on www.poloreef.com, they can enter just as much as the folks following us.
Yep.
We're giving away free frags for the folks who have saltwater tanks. We're giving away a bunch of merchandise for free that all goes to
Swag.
to
Yep.
charity,
You said that's-
reef conservation.
Yep.
And most importantly, you can get the opportunity to come here. Andrew will fly you or someone else out.
Wow.
Have dinner in front of the tank with the chef.
Okay, so
That's
guys,
actually what we're
just to recap, you said the 12 days.
Yes.
Okay, so just to recap, guys, go to www.poloreef.com and you can enter into a contest. That contest, the 12 days of Christmas, you can win free swag. All the swag merchandise, by the way, if you buy from Polo Reef, all the proceeds go to 100% of the proceeds go to reef conservation. You can also
Or marine
win-
sciences.
Marine sciences, I'm sorry. And you can also win some frags for those of you guys that want to do saltwater stuff. And then the grand prize is this gentleman right here is going to fly you and one other person. Or
Yeah, you're a significant other or whoever you want to bring.
yeah, so 2 people. You're going to fly here to Long Island, which is dope, by the way. Best pizza around, by the way. And you can have dinner here in front of this amazing 17,000-gallon aquarium. See the whole place. And spend. I mean, I tell you, I don't know. I've been here, and I'm going to still enter in. So go ahead, go to www.poloreef.com. Check that out. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks.
cool. Well, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. I
It's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. It's awesome. Yeah, thank you, guys. Peace out. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you on the other side. All right. See you guys.